Hey everyone! I made a video about my prescriptions, but I think I'm not gonna upload it because who knows what kind of private information someone can screenshot on them. I do need to learn how to edit videos. Anyway, this video is about relapsing, specifically someone who is on Suboxone and relapses, and whether it's your choice of drug or another drug, I want to talk about it. And I am not a doctor, I am not a physician. This is my own personal experience and opinions, so that's out there. So moving on. For me personally, I believe Suboxone is a maintenance drug, and when taken correctly, can really save someone's life. And I wholeheartedly say that, and I don't believe Suboxone, when used properly, is harmful for someone. If anything, it's helping them in a tremendous amount of way that you can, become sober without medical assistance, but it is extremely helpful biomedically speaking. And some people will abuse their Suboxone. I know some videos or anti-Suboxone ads saying people die from it, but the reality of it is if you take it properly and you do not take contraindicated medications, you're not going to have an a life and death situation. Now, as for withdrawals with Suboxone, that's a whole nother conversation that I actually had with someone, and I personally never went through withdrawals. I have with antidepressants, but I I personally don't know what withdrawals from Suboxone looks like. I do know what withdrawals with opiates look like, and we calculate certain things and symptoms, and then we use that information accordingly to see what dosage is correct for a person. And one important aspect is when you're on Suboxone and you use, that could affect your recovery and the effectiveness of the Suboxone. Sorry, that was that was one of my cans right there. So anyway, sorry. But I wanted to talk about relapsing, and I want to talk about people who have a duration of sobriety in their life. And I'm not gonna put a timeline for that, but typically people who you're gonna slip up once in a while, and that's okay. Obviously, life stressors and lack of being able to cope with certain issues with your life that you can't control makes you want to mask that, and that's a different stage of recovery, obviously. And just because you relapse or take a substance and feel regretful about it, what you can do from there is figure out why you used, and that's really distracting out there. What was I going to say? it's a learning experience, right? Um, it's making you learn about yourself. And what was I going to say? Seeing people relapsing sometimes is so different, as a person who works with people who have addictions and relapse and have different stages. I mean, relapsing and going through withdrawals are two different things, but here's what I think. So, an example would be if someone is addicted to opiates and they have a tragic event happen in their lives, right? And they take a drug that they're typically never abusing, or a drug of choice, I should say, but has a history of it, and they use that. In my mind, that's like secondary addiction. I don't know how to phrase it. There's probably some phrase to call it, but I definitely think certain relapses could be worse for people personally. And okay, so I'm going to explain seeing relapsing. How about that? I see people when they are intoxicated, and this visually looks different for any drug, but when someone is super irritable, quite blunt, aggressive, has a quick snap to them, no way to really communicate in a non-sporadic way, I think, and just like really irritability. And I definitely have learned about cocaine and how that affects patients. I did not realize how bad it could be for people, because I typically just think about heroin and alcohol. Not that cocaine isn't a bad drug. Wait, not that cocaine isn't a good drug. But I've gotten some hate from people who are on cocaine. They don't want to wait for me to help them. They are super irritable. If something doesn't go their way, they're quite snappy about it. Some people are constantly tapping, really doesn't know how to speak properly or get a sentence out in a proper way. It could be like really fast speech and I guess erratic behavior, but that's whatever. But like, I don't know what's going on, but people who are on cocaine in my facility are they're almost the hardest patients to deal with, honestly. But recently, someone I know who has been sober for, about maybe 4 or 5 months, maybe a slip up. but here and there. But one thing I never saw was meth usage with this particular person. And she has children, and I mean, this could be relevant to any story. She did use, and at first I couldn't believe it because she was at the beginning stage of, consuming amphetamines. And at first I saw some really moody behavior, I guess. But she was always kind to me in a certain way. She was never disrespectful. I feel people's spirits, and I feel like she is just a mother and a caring person and trying to be patient as possible and manage her sobriety. And I give her credit for that. But yeah, she had a bad occurrence happening in her life, and unfortunately she relapsed on meth. And as the days progress, when I saw her today, I you know how people put pink eyeshadow around their eyes and they look swollen in the face in a way, like people, but like quite literally she did have these circles under her eyes. And I was looking more at the skin because you could tell with meth agent with skin, but her face has drained, and it's so hard to see her like this. But she is still trying to cope. But yeah, and another issue with my employment is that I can't really counsel people. I could direct them to rules and regulations, but realistically, I can't counsel them, so I don't have the capacity to do that. But everyone has their different styles of counseling, and I am in the learning curve of that. And I'm very determined to become a therapist or counselor. And I specifically really want to do it for nonprofit. But here I'm like segueing. It's all how you have a perspective about your relapse is really an important component, and your coping strategies, the way you're thinking about it, the way you're reflecting about it, the way your life is affected by it. You have to put that in perspective. And I'll say, like, congratulate yourself if you discontinue that relapse. Give that that's part of your recovery, and we all have slip ups. That happens. And I know people really want to hold strong with those. I'm so and so clean, like I'm that much clean, and then I relapse. It's not like you're not coming from the worst end of it. You're coming in the middle of it, depending on your process. But I'm going on a tangent. I'm going to end this on that note, and keep safe, guys. Bye.